I was a common or garden crossdresser. I didn't go to sleep praying I would wake up in my wife's body. While except in the biblical sense, I didn't have to dream that. I had no desire to do all the household chores, even in a sexy French maid's costume. Doing my fair share was enough, really. When I was dressed, I never wondered what it was like to have a man kiss me, or God forbid, have him take me from behind. I would have run a mile in my heels to escape, having politely declined first. I didn't even relish wearing lacy lingerie under my everyday clothes. I just liked to dress as a woman. Not just in any style of clothing, but smartly. Head to toe, inside and out, and then only about once a month or so. And I called myself Tina, not, say, Tinkerbell. My apologies if your name is Tinkerbell. I wanted an everyday girl's name, to suit my female persona. But I did have a dream. I wanted to experience being fully immersed, dressed and living as a woman for a few days, day and night. Then, today, I saw my chance to fulfill that dream. Tim, said my wife Susan, I hope you don't mind, but my departmental head has asked me to accompany him to a conference. I am sorry, darling, but I am going to be away for the whole week. She came up and put her arms around me and gave me a reassuring cuddle. I will miss you, but of course you must go. I don't want you upsetting your boss. He can be rather demanding, I said, feeling the butterflies in my tummy. Oh, thank you, darling. It is a major event for our sector. She looked relieved. I did ask if you could attend, but he said only staff could go as he didn't have the budget to invite spouses. That was easy for him, I exclaimed. Didn't you tell me his wife walked out? She did, I had forgotten about that, Susan replied rather sheepishly. The conference was in a month's time. Apparently, not only did Susan need to dress during the day as a top businesswoman, she needed outfits for a cocktail reception on arrival, dinners every night, and for the Oscars Style Award ceremony on the last night. Susan's company was in the running for a top award. It is very kind of Adrian, said Susan, referring to her boss, to offer to buy me a cocktail dress for the reception and a formal gown for the ceremony. He's taking me shopping in town this Saturday. I know you love accompanying me when I go clothes shopping, but I think it is not a good idea this time. Knowing you, you might insist on paying. Let it be Adrian's treat. Actually, I only half heard what she said. I was excited about taking the opportunity to buy some dresses for myself. I had built quite a large wardrobe over time, mainly smart day clothes and party dresses. I didn't keep anything of Tina's at home. Quite frankly, I love Susan and being married to her. I would not do anything that would give her any suspicion. It is not in my nature to hurt people or be demanding, and I did not want to risk our marriage and friendship. So I kept all Tina's things in a storage facility. I would fetch, say, an outfit when I had the opportunity to be alone at home. I also used a dressing service. But I did not have everything I would need to dress full-time for a week. I had no nightwear and not enough suitable clothes and accessories that I would need for, say, shopping or visiting a restaurant or bar. Well, to be honest, with some creative dressing I probably did, but, hey, a girl needs an excuse to shop. Susan certainly had hers, though strangely she did not share with me what they had bought. Before, she had always given me a fashion show. The day arrived. I was as excited as a kid going on holiday to the seaside. Susan looked at me at times with puzzlement. The smart speaker announced, "There is somebody at the front door." "That will be Adrian," said Susan as she rushed to open the door. "Hi, I'm ready to go if you can help me with my cases." She had 2 large cases and 2 dress bags for her cocktail dress and gown. I was jealous of what they contained, when maybe I should have been jealous of her being with Adrian and should have questioned why she needed so many clothes and accessories. But the thought didn't cross my mind. I was keen to get going myself. They drove off and I soon followed. I then realized Susan hadn't kissed me, or indeed said goodbye. Maybe her boss distracted her. I left for the storage place and picked up an outfit for tonight and then went on to my dressing service for a makeover and to change. My plan was to visit the town center for afternoon tea at a hotel, do some shopping. I needed a night dress for tonight, and then visit a LBGT-friendly bar for the evening. It has a mixed straight and gay clientele, so I should feel safe. I was now dressed in a matching blue dress and jacket. The dressing service did me proud with a fetching makeover, and I had borrowed a wig with natural hair that came down to my shoulders. It was so much more realistic than my cheaper wigs, but then I had never been out in public before. I wore court shoes with 3-inch heels and carried a shoulder bag, both in black. I casually made my way down the high street towards the hotel and my afternoon tea. I hope I was walking with a natural feminine gait. I had practiced over the years at home and at the dressing service, and the tight skirt and heels helped. I stopped to look at shoes displayed in a shop window. I could now take my time when before I could only take glimpses. I looked into the shop and was horrified. As fate would have it, the woman heading to the shop exit was my mother-in-law. I couldn't risk her recognizing me. It would be the end of my marriage. She despised me and kept nagging Susan to find herself a proper man. She had a traditional view of marriage and believed the husband should be the head of the household and the sole breadwinner, and the wife should obey him, look after the house, and spend his money. Our marriage was one of equals, and Susan loved her career. I turned away and headed down the street, but my mother-in-law was behind me, so I slipped into a doorway, hoping she would pass me. I found myself in the reception of the town's top hairdressing and beauty salon. "Can I help you, madam?" asked the young receptionist. I went to leave, but fate struck again. Susan's mother had entered the salon. Surely she hadn't seen me? I froze, and then from nowhere an idea came to me, and without thinking I asked the receptionist, "I don't have an appointment, but I wonder if you can help me? I am having trouble with this wig I am wearing. It became dislodged just now, and I was most embarrassed." It was the first time I had tried my feminine voice for real, and I was most impressed, even if I say so myself. "I'm sorry, madam, we do not provide services for wigs," said the receptionist. My mother-in-law was standing behind me waiting. I then blurted out I should have explained. "I suffered from hair loss, but my hair is growing back, and although it is still short, maybe it could be styled." "You are in luck. We can fit you in now as we have a cancelled appointment. Please come this way." Of course I followed. I was too scared to turn round, leave, or tell her I've changed my mind. I put my bag down, and she took my jacket and gave me a cape to protect me. "The stylist will be with you shortly," the receptionist said with a sweet smile. She returned to the reception and showed my mother-in-law to another station. My mother-in-law could not see my face from where she sat, but if I was to get up she would be able to see me reflected in the mirror. I was stuck. "Hello, my name's Sharon. How can I help you today?" I repeated to Sharon what I had told the receptionist. "Let's see what I have to play with." She removed my wig and exclaimed, "I see, your hair is short, but I can work some magic and you can put that wig away. It is a nice one and suits you. I'll put it into a bag for you." I needed a haircut, and my hair was straggly and getting quite long for a man. It did look as if my hair was growing again after hair loss. I was relieved that I didn't have to come up with an excuse for why my hair looked like it did. At least, it had not been cut recently in my usual man style. I had given myself a very close shave this morning and had removed my sideburns, so hopefully no potential giveaways. She examined my hair and looked at my face in the mirror. "What's your name, love?" she asked. "Tina," I replied. "Tina, this is what I suggest we do. You are lucky, we have a special promotion this week for extensions. Your hair is long enough. I can give you a style similar to your wig, but the cut will be more flattering. I also suggest the same color as the wig, but with some highlights," she said. Not wanting to draw attention to myself or to upset Sharon, I replied, "That will be lovely. Do what you think best suits me." I felt circumstances were hurtling in a direction I was going to regret, but surely everything can go back to normal at the end of the week? And it was a golden opportunity, literally, as I will be a blonde-haired woman. It seemed to take hours. I was glad I wasn't a woman for real. We were nearly finished when I glanced quickly to where my mother-in-law had been. She was still there. "Shit," I swore quietly to myself. "What should I do now?" Sharon then said, "They're all done," as she showed me my new hairstyle using a hand mirror. My hair was wonderful. I couldn't believe it, far better than the wig, and I felt much more confident. Let me tidy up those brows for you, they look like caterpillars. I thought I had done a good job without them looking too odd when I returned to being Tim. But before I could say anything, it was too late. And I now had a pair of attractive brows, not manly at all. I am sorry, we have messed up your makeup, exclaimed Sharon. Let me get one of the girls to come and repair the damage. I thought I looked okay, but perhaps the delay would enable me to leave safely. Hello, my name's Felicity. I am the resident beautician and I understand you are having a complimentary makeover? Would you like to choose our diamond or our house offer? She asked. Diamond? I said out loud, wondering what she meant. Diamond it is then, she said, misunderstanding me. Susan's mother was getting up out of her salon chair. I didn't want to draw attraction to myself, so didn't say anything. She spent a long time on my face and nails. Perhaps diamond includes a manicure. While the end result was stunning, I couldn't believe I could look so much like a woman, not beautiful but pretty. If my mother-in-law was still here, I would have risked letting her see me. We have just one more thing to do, said Felicity. It is part of the diamond offer. Although I could have stopped her, I froze as I couldn't believe what was happening. I now had pierced ears. One more step on my unstoppable gallop towards feminization. As I stood up to put on my jacket, I realized the salon was closed. I paid using my new credit card. I had arranged for one that just had T Ford printed on it. I thanked them and left the salon. The shops were now closed and my afternoon tea was no longer being served, and no night dress. But I had had my hair done with all the extras, something I had not planned at all but still part of the experience. It was not too early to head for the bar where I had chosen to spend the evening. When I arrived, it was starting to fill up and I didn't feel conspicuous. I bought a glass of house white and sat at a small table that was free. I looked around. There was nothing extraordinary about the clientele, just more same-sex couples than the average bar and a scattering of nicely dressed crossdressers. I felt comfortable and relished being a woman sitting having a quiet drink. It was certain to happen. I was approached. And not by a man. Much to my relief, I wasn't ready for innocent flirting or turning somebody away. And the way fate had played out this afternoon, I certainly didn't want to find myself in a situation that I couldn't get off. Can I join you? Asked the attractive woman. Yes, of course, I replied. I was actually relieved when her voice gave her away. We chatted away for the rest of the evening just like two girlfriends. I told her my wife was away for a few days, which had given me the chance to come out as a woman. She told me her life story. She was transitioning, lived alone nearby and worked at a club. It was her night off and she often came to this bar to seek company. Her preference was for women and that is why she came up to me, but decided to stay anyway when she realized I was not a real woman. The time came to head home. She gave me her phone number and told me her name was Tracy. We had agreed to meet up the following day for lunch and shopping. She suggested I come to her place to change. I left the bar and hailed a taxi. As we approached my house, I noticed another taxi pull up. I asked my driver to stop for a moment. I saw Susan get out of the taxi and her driver help with the luggage. I wondered if the conference had been cancelled, but then realized with a shock I couldn't go home looking like I did. That would be the end of our marriage. Fate had struck again. Driver, I'm sorry, but I have lost my keys, I said, pretending to rummage around in my bag. Can we return to town? Yes, madam, he replied. I expect he was pleased to have a return fare. I called Tracy. There was nobody else and the dressing service would be closed by now. Hi, Tracy, I need a really big favor. Can I come to your place now and Elle will explain? I was being more assertive for a change, but I had no real choice. She gave me her address and I told the driver. Tracy was waiting outside my door. She rushed up and gave me a welcome hug. I was still shaking from the shock. Tina, what's happened? An anxious Tracy asked. My wife came home early. She cannot see me like this. She would be devastated. Please, can I stay the night? Tomorrow, I can retrieve my clothes from the dressing service and remove all this, I said, waving my hand around my hair and face. Of course, you can stay. I'll make up the bed in the spare room and then get us some drinks. You look as if you need one, and you tell me all about it," she replied as she took my arm and led me inside. I was feeling tired and I decided to go to bed. "Here, you can wear this," she handed me a nightdress, "and we will make plans in the morning. Try to get some sleep. Good night." I got undressed and put on the nightdress. It felt really nice. It was my first time wearing one, but it didn't look right without breasts. I tried removing my makeup, but it wouldn't come off with soap and water. I decided it can wait until tomorrow. I slept soundly. I was tired, but maybe the nightdress had relaxed me. I woke up in pain. I had an old back injury and I needed pain relief. I could hear Tracy in the kitchen, so I went to see her. "Good morning, Tina," said Tracy with a smile. "How are you? Did you sleep well?" "I slept very well, thank you," I replied, "but I don't have my tablets with me." "Do you have any pain relief?" "You can find some in the bathroom cabinet, then please join me for breakfast," replied Tracy. I opened the cabinet, saw the pills and took my usual dose and returned to the kitchen. Tracy had made coffee and prepared some croissants. "You still have your makeup on, I see." "I have some remover you can use," said Tracy. "I did try washing it off last night." "I also need to shave, my beard is coming through," I said. "I have had my beard removed, but I still have my old shaving kit. I'll fetch it and some remover after breakfast and then we are going out. I have arranged a girly treat for both of us. Instead of lunch, I have booked us in for a spa day. It will be a wonderful experience for you, part of your journey," said Tracy. I wanted to go home to Susan, but Tracy was so excited and thoughtful, I couldn't say no. Tracy's makeup remover didn't help, though I did manage a close shave and I looked quite presentable. I decided my blue dress and court shoes would be fine for the trip to the spa, not that I had a choice. "Tina, the people at the spa know that I am trans, so there is no need to fear them discovering your secret. I have told them and they will be discreet," said Tina. "Good morning, ladies," said the receptionist, "and welcome back, Tracy. And you must be Tina. We do hope you enjoy your first visit. Please go through and Pam will be with you shortly." We entered a treatment room set up for 2 people. "Hi, ladies, my name is Pam," said an attractive middle-aged woman wearing a white tunic and trousers. She was followed by a younger woman similarly attired. "Today we're going to start with a full body treatment. Please take off all clothing, you can leave your knickers on, and lie down on the treatment tables." I wasn't expecting this, but then this was my first time. "Tina, I am surprised you have allowed so much body hair to grow. Not like Tracy's smooth skin. It's waxing for you." I had only shaved those parts of the body which would show with the clothes I was planning on wearing. I was wondering how I could explain that I needed to keep my body hair, as I didn't want my wife to find out about my crossdressing. But due to my characteristic procrastination to say no, I now boasted a smooth and hairless body. How I was going to explain it was scaring me, but it felt wonderful. Fate had stuck again. "Now for the facial. First, let's remove your makeup," said Pam. After a short while, she said, "You didn't tell me you are wearing permanent makeup." For once I spoke up. "Did you say my makeup is permanent? What does that mean? I can't identify the type you have on, so I don't know when it would wear off or whether it can be removed." "Do you know?" said Pam. "I had it applied yesterday in town. I thought they were just redoing my normal makeup, not applying it permanently," I replied. I seemed to remember something about a diamond offer. "Oh," said Pam, "I've come across it recently. It is very good, easy to apply, but stays fresh for at least 3 months. You must be very pleased. Whoever applied it is an expert and it flatters you. I envy you not having the chore of doing your makeup every day. Let's get on. Next is the massage. Do you have a favorite oil?" I tried to say something, but I was dumbstruck. 3 months. I was to get one more shock that day. They say buses arrive in 3s, but for me it was the news of the devastating steps in my unintended feminization that came in 3s. The manicurist congratulated me on my hardened nails. She would just give them a polish. She admired them, but said she couldn't cope herself with such long nails. She at least did my toenails in the conventional way. Later, on our way home, I thanked Tracy for the treat and told her I enjoyed it. I was delighted in the pampering and the improvement in my looks, but I had not got over the implications of no body hair and the news about the permanent makeup and nails. It was the second fateful day in a row. It was my pleasure. I'm glad you enjoyed the day. You had me worried there with you being so quiet, replied Tracy. Tracy, do you mind if on our way back we picked some of the belongings I have in storage and also the clothes I left at the dressing service? Then I need to talk to you, I said. I collected up all my clothes from storage. I was going to need more than my blue dress and Tracy's nightdress. While at the dressing service, I canceled my appointment for the end of the week, as I won't be going back to being Tim for the time being. They understood and were excited with my new, more natural look. Later, when back at Tracy's place, we sat down with a bottle of wine. Tracy, I have only known you for a day, but I really appreciate you letting me stay last night and for your treat and company today. I have a major crisis in my life that I need to face up to. If I am not in the way, or being too forward, I would really appreciate it if you can put me up for a few more days. You're welcome to stay as long as you want. I am quite lonely and it would be nice to share with someone who understands my journey, but who doesn't want to get inside my knickers, replied Tracy encouragingly. Tomorrow I need to go to work. I usually leave late afternoon and will get back in the early hours. On work days, I tend to get up late in the morning. I do appreciate your generosity. I will think about what I can do about my appearance and getting back to my wife, I told her. I haven't got around to ask you what you do for a living, I said. I'm a hostess in a club, a proper hostess, not what you may be thinking. All the waitresses and bar staff are young crossdressers, including some FTM bar staff. My boss is an equal opportunities employer. I manage them during my shift to ensure our customers are being looked after and I deal with any problems that come up. Fortunately, we get few complaints from customers or staff, and I get to wear evening dresses, which is fun. Tracy, my original plan was to live at home as Tina for the rest of the week, until my wife Susan returned home. I'm nowhere near ready to tell her about me and I don't want to hurt her. When she unexpectedly came home last night, it was too late for me to return to being Tim. As you know, I had left my clothes at the dressing service. I thought I would be going back today, but that was before I realized my makeup and nails were going to be permanent and I was to have my hair removed and ears pierced, I explained. Tracy asked me about things we had picked up from storage and I told what I had. Looks like we need to go shopping, girl, she exclaimed. The next morning I helped myself to another pill and then went to the kitchen to make some tea. I was on leave this week, so I did not need to contact the office and I could focus on the options for returning home. Unfortunately, it was easy to think of reasons why none would work. Hi, said Tracy as she entered the kitchen. Any more tea in the pot? I'll make a fresh brew, I answered. While sipping our tea, Tracy asked, have you decided what to do yet? Not really. I am going to visit the salon to ask about the makeup. I think what I do depends very much on what they say. I just can't go back home looking like this, I replied. I can understand that. But you would have no problem with your looks if you were a woman. And you are a woman, as far as I can see, that is, except you have no tits, grinned Tracy. I laughed. You're right there. I meant what I said last night. You can stay with me as long as you like, provided we remain girlfriends, and that means you live full-time as a woman, explained Tracy. It had not really sunk in what she was saying and I couldn't see an alternative. It really was generous of her. So I replied, oh, thank you. I truly appreciate your offer and you will be a tremendous role model for me as I work this out. I had another of those pills this morning. As I can't get home to collect mine, do you think you can get some for me? I asked. Tracy looked surprised at first and then looked as she had just had a revelation. Yes, of course, I would be pleased to do so. We both left shortly afterwards, Tracy to run some errands and I to visit the salon. I had dug out a black pencil skirt and a black polo neck pullover from my wardrobe and borrowed a long patterned scarf from Tracy. I pondered and decided that going out with perfect makeup without spending time applying it was a boon. Tracy entered the salon. The receptionist looked up, smiled and said, "Hi Tina, back so soon." "Yes, I wanted to ask you about the permanent makeup. How long does it last?" I asked. "Great, isn't it? It is a new product and not actually permanent, but it could last up to 6 months. But don't worry, there is a 3-month guarantee, and in the unlikely event any flaws appear, we will rectify them without question. That's why we call it the diamond offer. It is glamorous and hard. The guarantee for the nails is different as nails do grow. But you have 3 months subscription and we will maintain them in pristine condition, and there is a no-split guarantee," said the receptionist enthusiastically. That's terrible news, I thought, unless, of course, I carried on living as a woman, but I replied that's reassuring. What would happen if I needed to remove any makeup or the nails? Nobody has asked me that, but I understand we have to order special solvents from the supplier and the technician will need special training and insurance, replied the receptionist. Thank you, I said as I left the shop feeling desperate. I went back to Tracy's without knowing what to do. I just sat for a very long time until I heard Tracy back home from work. "I wasn't expecting you to still be up. How was your day?" asked Tracy. I told her what the receptionist had told me. "I have some good news for you. I spoke to my boss and told her I had a friend looking for a job. I hadn't thought about work, but if I couldn't return home I also couldn't return to work. You told me you were an accountant, well she needs a bookkeeper. Her office is not at the club where I work, but within the premises of another club she owns. That club is for women only, no men are allowed at any time, and the rule also applies to the office. She knows you are not a real woman, but she is willing to take you on provided you work as one. Nobody else can know that you are a man. I have arranged an interview for you tomorrow morning." "I'm so excited for you," said Tracy. I arrived at Tracy's boss's office on time and nicely turned out in my blue dress and jacket, the smartest outfit I own. I had made an effort, as I always do for an interview, though I was not sure why this time. But Tracy was so keen I didn't want to disappoint her. I entered through the club and one of the staff showed me the way to the office. I knocked and heard "Come in." I entered and saw a smartly dressed woman, not much older than me, sitting behind a grand desk. "Hi, you must be Tina. Please come in and sit down. I'm Gloria Templeton and welcome to Temple Leisure Clubs." She pointed to an easy chair and came and sat on a sofa opposite. "Please call me Gloria. Tracy has told me about your secret, which is safe with me. But please tell me about yourself in your own words and of your qualifications and experience," she said in an authoritative voice. I told her about myself, as if I actually wanted the job. "Thank you, Tina, I've heard enough." Then out of the blue she said, "Can you start next week?" Yes of course, I replied, never wanting to disappoint. "Excellent. You will work here with me. My 2 clubs more or less run themselves. We will be providing them with a general direction and oversight, but most of the time we will be developing a new club and your financial expertise will be of great value," she said as if there was no doubt. "There is one unusual condition, which I understand Tracy has told you. You must dress, behave and present yourself as a woman at all times, including when you are not at work. I can see you will have no difficulties. You will be the only employee in this office, no one else will see your tax and national insurance details. I'll see you on Monday at 9 a.m. I look forward to working with you." She smiled and then said, "I nearly forgot to tell you your salary." She then told me a sum that was half as much again as I was currently getting. "Thank you and see you on Monday," I nearly curtsied. Again I had found myself heading in an unintended direction without any thought. I hadn't even said yes. Susan was getting further and further away. When Tracy got home she was over the moon when she heard my news. "I'm off tomorrow, we will go shopping for your business outfits, but tonight we are going out to celebrate," she decided. She lent me a sparkly dress that just reached my mid-thigh. It had spaghetti straps and was low-cut. I decided I couldn't wear it, having no tits, but she created cleavage out of nowhere with tape as if by magic. She produced a more realistic set of breast forms than mine using adhesive fixed them to my chest. I used to wear them, But don't need them anymore, she said, they will see you through until yours blossom. She handed me a pair of strappy heels and an evening bag, and we were off to the bar where we first met. We were chatting away when these two guys approached us and asked us to dance. They didn't even offer to buy us drinks first. I was just plucking courage to politely decline when Tracy grabbed my hand, saying, "Yes, boys, it will be our pleasure." Tracy and her man were soon stuck into each other. I was not encouraging mine at all, but I found myself being drawn in. Then he started kissing me. I saw Tracy looking over at us with a knowing smile. I froze and let him go on for a while, but I was relieved when the music stopped and we returned to our table. He and his friend thanked us and left. I supposed I put mine off because I did not show much emotion when he kissed me, but I was horrified inside. Or maybe he spotted my wedding ring. Susan and I have matching rings. After a while, Tracy looked at me and said, "Do you want to head back?" "Not if you are enjoying yourself." "I'm fine," I replied. She was getting to know me, so she took my hand and we headed for the door. It was a month later and my new unintended life had settled into something more like normality. I had a well-paid and satisfying job working with Gloria. I was now sharing the flat with Tracy, paying my fair share, and we were the best of girlfriends. My love life was non-existent, but the only place in my heart was for Susan. I started to notice that my emotions and my body were becoming more feminine. As a crossdresser, I knew about hormone treatments, but I had never contemplated using them. I wanted to remain a man. I wondered if Tracy was adding hormones to my food, but dismissed the idea as it was against her nature. Then I thought about the pills I was taking for pain relief. They seemed to have lost their effectiveness, and I was now taking them both day and night. And the tablets Tracy got for me looked different to my normal prescription. I decided to try and pluck up the courage to ask her about them, and I did. "Tracy," I said, "I am very grateful to you for fulfilling my prescription for me." Before I continued, she interrupted, "I am pleased. Without a proper doctor's prescription, they were difficult for me to get. But being trans, and I was able to convince my consultant to increase my dose. So you have nothing to worry about. I have noticed those subtle changes in you. Tina, I am so excited you are trans and not just a crossdresser, as I thought you were when we first met. When you dropped hints about coming out as a woman and kissing that guy, I knew deep down you were on the same journey as me. In fact, I have a surprise for your birthday next week," she said. I must have confused her hormone tablets for pain relief. What do I do now? If I stop taking the tablets, I am going to upset her. On the other hand, with my need to live as a woman for the time being, looking more like a woman is only going to help. And I have only just started, and it's reversible, isn't it? So, as you will have guessed, I didn't make up my mind and I continued taking the tablets so as not to disappoint Tracy. I wanted and needed her friendship. My birthday arrived and Tracy was insistent I open my present from her as she handed me an envelope. As I opened it, and out popped a voucher for a course of sessions for permanent beard and body hair removal. She beamed, "The last vestige before the knife. I have noticed you are having problems with your 5 o'clock shadow." She was right, I needed to shave again if we went out in the evening. So I succumbed. I couldn't resist her enthusiasm, and it would help in my everyday life. After 3 months working for her, Gloria asked me into her office. Well, office is not quite the right decision as we shared. She asked me to come and take the seat in front of her desk. This must be serious, I thought. "Tina, since we first met you have blossomed as a woman and at your job. But it is now time to move on. You have put great effort into the Ladies Club project and your financial acumen has been very valuable to me," explained Gloria. Oh dear, here it comes, I thought. I did really enjoy my job and working with Gloria. And that also includes coming to work dressed as a woman. I was a crossdresser after all. As from the 1st of next month you will cease to be an employee and become the co-owner and director of the new club. I will retain 51%, in the unlikely event I may need to sack you, and I will finance your share of the business and you can pay me back in installments. Your director's salary will be twice your current salary and you will of course be paid a dividend out of the profits for your share of the business. You will live in the private apartment at the club. I think that it is important. The clientele we are targeting for membership would expect you to be available at all times. She spoke as if I had already accepted her offer, which in mind I already had. If I didn't know her and her businesses inside out, I would have considered the offer too good to be true. I will be earning at least 3 times the salary of my old job as Tim plus accommodation. One more thing, you will have a company car. There may be times when you may have to give a member a lift, she added. I immediately saw a problem, as I always do. My driving license is in my real name. That's already sorted. Once you have signed this form, she pushed it over to me. I read it, made an alteration and signed it. It was a dead pull to change my name. Why the alteration? She asked. I replied, Susan is my wife's name. I will be Tina Susan Ford. I felt quite chuffed that I took some control of my destiny by adding Susan to my name. The following week, Gloria handed me not only my new driving license, but also a new passport and national insurance details. My old passport was at home, unless Susan had thrown it out. Gloria then handed me new bank cards. Your bank accounts are now in your new name, but I haven't touched your joint accounts, which are all still active by the way. Susan is doing very well financially, so you don't need to worry about her. I was surprised with the access and contacts Gloria must have, given all the data protection, anti-terrorism, anti-money laundering and immigration control legislation we have nowadays. I am still married, aren't I? I was worried that with my new name the marriage certificate would be invalid. Of course you are, replied Gloria, and Susan has done nothing to annul your marriage. Why don't you get in touch with her? Your worries may be unfounded. Of course, in your current position you will have to remain a woman. But you could step down as the club director if you want to go back to being a man. You can remain my business partner and my friend. The new Temple Club opened without any publicity, and within 3 months we had a waiting list. The concept of the club was to provide the equivalent of a gentleman's club but for ladies only. While traditional clubs were reluctantly admitting women, they remained male bastions. With an increasing number of women in the higher echelons of business and society, there was a demand for a place to relax or meet away from their testosterone-charged colleagues. I was in crossdresser's heaven. I could dress and present as a woman in a safe and welcoming environment. I was accepted and I dressed in elegant clothes for both day and evening. My unintentional hormone treatment had had the desired effect, while Tracy's desire not mine. My new figure and looks were actually reassuring. If it was ever discovered that the director of our exclusive club was a man, it could be a calamity for the club. Our business model was based on trust. One day my secretary, Sarah, announced she was getting married. We were all very pleased for her. A little later she approached me sheepishly. Tina, all my staff were on first names terms, but I was Mrs. Ford in front of clients. Would you be one of my bridesmaids? Please. I was taken aback. I couldn't do this. My secret might be discovered. And then she got me. Tracy has agreed to be one, and I know you are good friends. I admire the way you stand by a trans woman. Sarah had worked at the same club as Tracy before she joined me at the Temple Club. Again, I felt trapped and of course said, I love to. Thank you for asking me. I hope you are not currying favor with me as your boss. No, of course not. You are a good friend. Anyway, I am hoping you or Tracy will catch my bouquet. And you never know, you might find the right man at the reception. Sarah said with a mischievous grin. I hope I don't get paired off with one of the ushers, I thought. At least Sarah was of a similar age to me and Tracy, and I won't look too out of place. I did enjoy helping choose the bride's gown and our bridesmaids' dresses. Tracy, knowing my secret, helped me avoid any embarrassing moments during the dress fittings, and I now had the figure to wear any style. Sarah chose us maxi-length bandeau dresses with full skirts in rose pink. It was the most heavenly dress I have worn. I did offer one of the club's private rooms for her hen night, but Sarah declined, knowing it would stump her style. The night arrived. I had mixed feelings. For me there were many no-nos, no alcohol and no drugs, in case I lost control and exposed myself, no men, not for me, and no women, I wouldn't cheat on Susan. Fortunately, both Tracy and Gloria were coming and they would protect me. I wore the same dress that I wore that fateful night when I was kissed by a man and which Tracy took as evidence of my desire to transition. I did enjoy myself. Girls out on the town seemed to have more fun. We had a good meal and passing strangers or other patrons joined in our good spirits. Someone, of course, booked a stripper. He thrust his male organs into my face. I avoided touching despite the jeering. I did think I was better endowed than the stripper. Mine were carefully hidden under my dress. The wedding was amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed myself experiencing what it was like doing all sorts of things wearing a long full-skirted dress and the highest of heels. I inadvertently caught the bouquet when Sarah tossed it. I did try not to as I was already married, but there was so much cheering I had to play along and I did feel a little special. Today was the anniversary. A year ago, I was sent down the road to being the woman I am today. A not unattractive, although on the large size, successful businesswoman accepted and feted by all. But deep inside I was sad and lonely. The part of the anniversary that mattered to me was that it was a year ago since I last saw Susan, my dear wife. It was a quiet day. I had kept my diary free. Normally I would have lunch in the apartment, but today I decided to visit the members' restaurant. I wore the same blue dress I was wearing on that fateful day. It fitted me so much better now. My hair was longer, but I still had extensions as I liked to wear it long. My permanent makeover was no longer. The skin on my face was softer, clearer, so I didn't need much makeup, just to suit the occasion. My nails were now my own, natural and nicely shaped. I was wearing understated but expensive jewelry. An elegant watch and matching bracelet, a diamond ring, to remind me of marriage as if I needed reminding, diamond studs and a pendant. And my shoes were from Christian Louboutin and not from the high street, as is befitting my new status. I love the elegance of the design, with higher and more slender heels. I was having my coffee when I heard someone call Tim, with a mixture of surprise and curiosity, but with certainty. I looked up and with shock saw Susan standing there in front of me. I would know my Timmy anywhere, she said with an illuminating smile but with sadness in her eyes. I froze. I was embarrassed and tried to think of what I could do. She mustn't see me like this, she mustn't see me like this kept going round and round in my head. But before I did, or said, something stupid, she sat down in front of me and took my hand and said, "Don't say a thing, my love. I've been rehearsing this moment for a year now and I need to say that I am deeply sorry. I have something to tell you and you need to let me finish before you say anything." I was surprised when I got early home from the conference and found the house empty. I thought that you may be having a late night in the pub taking advantage of me being away. But over the days I became increasingly worried. I had to return for the last day of the conference, but when I got back I was devastated you were still missing. When I contacted your office, and they told me you had resigned and would not be returning, my life collapsed in on me. I was relieved that you were alive, but I had to face up to reality that you had left me and it was all my fault. Susan paused to wipe away some tears. No, I started to stay, but she put her finger on my lips so as to silence me and, of course, I said nothing. Susan then continued. During those first few days, I was in a real mess but I was more focused on my own problems than perhaps on why you had not come back home. Your mobile phone was on your desk in the study, so I couldn't contact you. Then it dawned on me that you had left me because of Adrian and my foolishness. Oh, my dear Tim, I could understand why you left me. You must have believed I was having an affair with Adrian and we were using the conference as an opportunity for a week away together. I was devastated that I had ruined our perfect marriage, our perfect friendship, and I had hurt you deeply with my thoughtlessness. I just sat there not able to say a word. I was having difficulty taking it all in. The last thing I would have suspected was my dear Susan was having an affair. She continued. I was very excited by the conference. We were up for an award for my project and the managing director wanted me to be the face of the company. He was very pleased with me and insisted the company bought me outfits for the reception and the award ceremony. He was going to attend as usual, but had to pull out at the last minute and he asked Adrian to take his place. She stopped to wipe away more tears. I was so absorbed that I missed the signals. As you know, Adrian's wife left him. It is because he had a series of affairs with women working for the company. And he saw the conference as a gift from heaven. I learnt later the MD had also invited you to attend, but Adrian kept that from me. Adrian also claimed he had bought me the outfits, but he was reimbursed by the company. When we arrived at the hotel that day, I discovered that there was only one room booked. Adrian had cancelled the MD's booking and intended to share our room, taking your place. The booking was in the name of Mr. and Mrs. Ford. The hotel was fully booked due to the conference, so I left and went straight home. My mind was in a turmoil. I was shocked to learn of an affair between Susan and Adrian. Adrian was macho than me, then massively relieved it was not the case and she had been truly faithful to me. And then the realization that I had behaved monstrously in disappearing from her life and leaving her distraught because I was weak-willed. I still remained silent as Susan continued. I was surprised that you were not beside me when I woke the following morning. At the time I was still wondering what had happened to you, but I was angry about Adrian. I went to the office and the MD made time for me immediately. When he heard what had happened, he suspended Adrian and he was instructed to leave the conference and go on garden leave. A sexual harassment case was lodged with the Human Resources Director, who already had a file full of complaints about Adrian. The MD persuaded me to return to the conference to receive the award. He insisted that I had earned it and should receive my well-earned pundits. Although the judge's decision was yet to be announced, he had been told in confidence that we were to receive the top award. I was expecting you would be home soon and could share the evening with me. I kept hoping you'll come home. I knew you weren't cheating. I knew you too well to believe that, and if you were dead I would have heard. Mom kept nagging me to forget you and find a better man, but I missed you so much and I have waited so long for this day to come, and here we are. It was good to see you, Tim, she said. I don't know now whether I pushed you away or you wanted a new life, but I can see you have become an attractive and successful woman and I am very happy for you. She stood up and turned to leave. Shit, I spurted out unintentionally. A new strength came to me and instead of my characteristic dithering and I said, "Please don't go, Susan, I miss you so much and it is my foolishness, not yours, that is the reason we have been apart and I have accidentally become a woman. Please sit down again and hear my story and then you can leave." "An accidental woman? This I have to hear," said Susan with a smirk. I told Susan my story. I hadn't realized, but I had dropped a register and was speaking in my normal voice, my normal male voice that is. As I had when she had told me her story, she sat silently. When I finished she remained silent as if she was digesting what I heard. "Tim, my dearest, Tim, I couldn't care what you look like as long as you are mine," said Susan with feeling. "What you have told me is incredible, but it is what you are. A foolish dithering man who cares so much about other people. It is what I find endearing in you, even though I lost you for a year." "It has been an adventure," I replied, "and here we are, a year later, two rich and successful women." "Oh, that's a point. What are you doing here?" "I would have picked up on it if you had become a member. For the same reason you are here in the restaurant. I told a friend of mine that it was a year today that you went missing. She suggested that she kept me company and I came here as her guest for lunch. As we were leaving I saw you sitting over here and couldn't believe it was you, and on today of all days. And how unexpected but incredible you looked." She replied, "It is fate that has reunited us, or was it by accident?" I said. For some reason I asked her, "What do you think of our club?" "It's amazing. I decided to apply to become a member as soon as I got here and my friend offered to sponsor me," she replied. "Well, I think I can arrange for you to jump the queue and of course you are eligible for a staff discount as a spouse," I said with a grin, "but at this club that can only apply to same-sex couples. I am really touched that you are wearing a diamond ring just like my engagement ring and next to your wedding ring too. We match, I love it," enthused Susan. "Well, I am married," I smirked. "Yes to me," said Susan. "So is it Mrs., Miss, MS or Mr. Ford?" "Here at the club I am Mrs. Ford, but officially I am Mr. Ford, no change there," I replied with a grin. "So, Mr. Tina Susan Ford," she sighed, "can we go home please?" better still, Mrs. Susan Ford, come up to my apartment, I said assertively with a smile. I may have come by the body of a woman accidentally, but inside is a common or garden crossdresser, and it has been a year since he made love and he can't wait any longer. Oh, Tim, I do love your shoes, cried Susan as I stood up. You've got to keep up appearances, and I love them too, I smiled. I took her hand and led her upstairs to my private apartment, then we went home. What happened next? Since that fateful day, Susan had coped with missing Tim and the worry by devoting herself to her work. She had been promoted to head of department, replacing the disgraced Adrian, and the industry award made her reputation. Her life was now all she wanted, nearly. All the time he was separated from Susan, Tim's greatest wish was to return to being Tim and their old life. But he really enjoyed his work of being the director-cum-manageress of the Temple Club and being Tina. He now had no worries that he would hurt Susan, now she had discovered and accepted his secret. But Tim, being Tim, couldn't make up his mind. So Susan decided for him. The Temple Club continued to be a success under Tina. So much so, that Tina was named Businesswoman of the year after Susan was similarly named. Susan became great friends with Tracy and Gloria. After all, they knew all about Susan and they were keen to meet her. She also had great fun playing with Tim's breasts. They moved out of their old home. They could now afford a large house in an exclusive area. As far as the neighbors knew, it was Tina and Susan who were married, but at home it was always Tim and Susan, husband and wife. Tim kept the private apartment at the club. It was handy for late nights at the club or when they were in town. Tina didn't become a member. She didn't need to. She was now one of the owners. Tim and Susan had always shared everything. They both would have liked to have had children. Tim was quite capable of being a father, but, as in the case with many career women, there was never the right time to start a family. Even Susan's mother-in-law was happy. She had noticed when visiting her daughter that someone was staying with her. She never found out who, or about Tim's return and his new life. She believed that, at long last, her daughter had moved on and found herself a new lover, and judging by the house, a well-off one at that. Susan asked Tim, if I had come in on that fateful night instead of running away, what would you have done? I honestly don't know. I have often thought about it since you told me why you didn't come home. That night I was upset and angry with Adrian, and I should have been attending a cocktail reception. And of course you weren't yet missing, replied Susan. When Susan reunited Tim, her love for him was blind. Tim and Susan's destiny was to live happily ever after. But was it fate or accidental?